everybody. Nino the Mystic Truther here, and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk. This week, I thought we would talk a little bit about some things that, have been in the news. Of course, when I scheduled this show, it was the day of the passing of the Pope, and so has been almost a week now, so it's not really breaking news. But there's some things that I would like to bring up and see what you guys think, and let's discuss it. So, anyways, Robert, how you doing tonight?
Doing great. As always, good to be here and join you in this discussion of interesting topics. And could this be? I think I sent you something with the end of the world today. With the Simpsons, another prediction. And all of that. It's like, how many predictions they going to make before the world actually ends? Or, oh, wait a minute. People have been predicting the end of the world, the end of the last Pope. Oh, speaking of that, the last Pope for hundreds of years, and we're still here.
Yeah, it's, I know, it's funny. And I do watch some of the things because you just can't help it. You want to watch and see, you know what I mean? Like, I know David Rodriguez, he has this Bo Polnion. I don't know if you've heard of him. Christian guy. Well, he's big on math and doing number and blah, blah, blah. Anyways, I do got to give, a little credence because he was right about the 21st. He did say that something big is probably going to be happening on that day. And sure enough, the Pope died. So, and not only that, but Klaus Schwab resigned as well on the same day. So, that's what kind of like, whoa, okay, all right. That seems a little weird. Like, what are the odds? Why did he resign on the same day? I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, is it coincidence
I can believe that the Klaus Schwab thing was kind of planned. That would have been the big news of the day.
Yeah.
But then the Pope drops over dead. He was holding on by a thread for weeks here. We all knew
which kind of brings up another point is apparently 6 hours before he passed, he had a visit by Vance, your vice president there. Now, first of all, to me, it's like if you are like deadly sick and almost dying kind of thing, it's kind of sick. Like, why are you taking business meetings? And on Easter Sunday, of all the days in the year, why you I grew up in Europe and everything was closed on Sundays. Like, Sunday's a holy day. I mean, you know what I mean? And so to have a business meeting on a Sunday seems weird to me. Never mind, probably the holiest day of the year for the Christian tradition. You know what I mean? Easter Sunday. Mm-hmm. Why is that? Why are you having a business meeting with him? Why is he there 6 hours or on a Sunday? Like, you know what I mean? That to me seemed a little weird. And then, of course, he passes away 6 hours later. And a lot of people, are kind of wondering, like, you know what I mean? Did he have anything to do with it? Who knows? Because it is sort of that time of the year where a lot of shenanigans is happening at that date. And that's probably why Klaus Schwab decided on that day as well. It is a big day. It happened to be Queen Elizabeth's birthday as well. The day before we had 420, which was also Hitler's birthday, so there's a lot of these big names birthdays around that time. And of course, on Wednesday, we have Beltane, Val Perkins night. So, this is sort of the season of a lot of things happening. So it doesn't surprise me that they picked it. Now, another weird thing that stood out to me was, if you remember at the end of the year, this year, the beginning or the end and the beginning, I guess, of this year, what was happening? Do you remember the Pope was actually opening up 5 portals?
Oh, the portals, yes.
During the Christmas, it was done over a few days. I think it was 5 portals, different days, over the Christmas holiday. And he was old. He's old, obviously, and he probably wasn't feeling that great.
Well, he had cancer or something and stomach problems, and I think he was around at Christmas, and then I think he was out of the public eye. I remember seeing him about 2 weeks ago, they said, oh, here comes, the Pope. They wheeled him out, and they said, oh, this is the first time he's been in public view in
Mhm.
a couple months or something. And I'm thinking, oh boy, maybe he's getting better. But that was his last hurrah. And
Yeah, I know. And he had double pneumonia just a few weeks ago. Like, I know, like double pneumonia, that's a big deal. Like, a lot of elderly die from that. And
yeah,
you're not out doing business meetings if you have double pneumonia. I'm sorry. And like he's
no.
just recovering from that. And then he, like you said, he had all these other things a couple of months ago. And literally working, I guess you could call it, up to the hour of his death. Like, it just seemed like they were rushing a bunch of things just before. It's almost like they kind of knew. I don't know. It just seemed like they knew. And just that day, it was Easter Sunday, or sorry, Easter Monday, which the actual day that Jesus rose, if you do the math.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Christians celebrated on the Sunday, probably out of convenience, so that, they can continue on with their week and whatever. But if you do the math, if he died on the Friday, he would have risen then on the Monday, right? That's 3 days, is it
Yeah.
not? Like,
Yeah, 3 days in my book.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just found it was a little bit strange. He opened up the portals there at Christmas time, and then he literally died on the day that he rose back up again. You know what I mean? Like that, I don't know. That just the whole thing seems a little bit weird to me. Red flags. I'm getting red flags.
It does seem weird. The only thing that kind of covers it up is that he was deathly, ill. He was in bad health. I'm surprised he hadn't died like a year ago. I mean, it was one thing after another. I thought for sure he wouldn't even make it this long, but here he is. He's still going, and then all of a sudden, boom. But then again, can you plan that, or was it
you
one of
can,
these
right?
things where he was
That's the thing.
taking visitors?
As long as the guy is still
I wonder
alive,
who else. Well, I know he had that the Vance guy visit, but who else did he have visit? Was this like his last? I know I'm going to be dead here soon. I'm going to have a bunch of visitors in the next couple weeks here. Say goodbye to everybody, tell them all the secrets, and then pass it on so I can kick the bucket, kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, who knows? That's the thing. It makes you wonder, what were they talking about? Although I saw the footage of the meeting with Vance and the Pope, and you can tell that they don't really like each other. Just his handshake was just a little couple fingers, and I've seen, and there was some other guy that pointed it all out when he shook hands with other people that he liked. You can tell, like, it's, big handshakes and different handshakes, but you can kind of tell on the handshake, and also his face. He didn't hide anything, that guy. Like, you could tell on his face if he was happy or if he was not. You know what I mean? The kind of thing. And
who knows?
Sorry?
We don't know if he was in pain. I mean, he died a few hours later. He was already on the way out. You know how it is with people dying. You worked in nursing home stuff before. When they're dying, they have that spur of energy, and then and then they got their last hurrah, and everything is. He was already in death mode. Put it that way.
You would think so. Like, you would think that they would let the old guy just leave him alone. Like, why are you doing a business meeting like that? It's not really necessary. And that makes me wonder, what was the rush? Why Easter Sunday? When you're this sick and on the holiest day of the year, why are you having this meeting? And that's what makes me wonder. Red flags, what were the reason for it? What's, you know what I mean? It just makes me wonder.
Well, all I can think is that he had to see the Pope to get his, blessing or A-OK to do whatever's coming up here in the future. Because if he didn't, and it's going to take them weeks and weeks and weeks to elect, how it goes with the Pope thing, to elect another Pope.
Which kind of alludes to the fact that they knew that it was coming up real quick. But I mean, his health but still. Yeah.
Well, exactly. And rushing this up, because if we don't, then the church couldn't back whoever for whatever reason, like if they're going to go to war, for instance. He didn't give his blessing, so we have to stay neutral till the next Pope comes in and he makes a choice what he wants to do. just off the top of my head. That's
you thinking he got a blessing for something bad that's coming up?
something.
Yeah, okay. Well, I get only time will
Good,
tell
bad,
what's
whatever.
coming. I don't know if you need the Pope's blessing for all this.
I
Yeah,
think
maybe
you
you do,
do.
which then goes back to again about how much more karma does Christianity really have? They're putting
Well,
their blessing in for all these war killing.
it's not the karma so much, but I think it's the benefactor of the money and influence. The Catholic Church is one of the richest religions out there, and and then of course the money that they have their own bank thing going on. I remember, don't you know your history about World War II? Who was the bank that financed Germany?
Yeah, I
And
know.
it sure wasn't.
It's come to
So
my attention that there's a certain type of people that are behind everything, and they're also behind the Vatican. They're behind all the secret societies. They're behind all the wars. They're behind everything. But anyways, that's not what this show is
yes,
about. I wanted to actually point
no,
out Wayne Steiger, of course, did a show on this on Monday, on the day of, and he brought up some interesting points. There's some prophecy, that's kind of pointing to that he might be the last pope. So I thought, hey, you know what? Let's take a look at that. So I'm giving credence to Wayne Steiger. If you haven't subscribed there, do that. I got his link down in the description, as well as the link for the video that we're about to see a little clip of here. And then let us know what you think, okay, about this. So we're just going to go in here. It's only a couple of minutes.
And, I don't know. I wasn't there when this dude came up with this, but apparently this happened like 1,000+ years ago. Let's see. He apparently gave a list, and we have this list of who would be the final pope, and it was Petrus Romanus, or Peter the Roman, the 112th and the final pope. So that would then make Pope Francis the First, took his name in honor of Saint Francis of Assisi, a Catholic friar and priest in Rome. His real name was Giovanni di Peter di Bernardone, but nickname Francisco. This translates to Peter the Roman, for prophecy fulfilled. If Francis was, in fact, the Black Pope, then the thing is, he would be representing in the fact that he was the Antichrist Pope in the midst of those whom he supposedly betrayed. Was he serving the same God? I don't know. This is the prophecy it said the last prophecy. The last of these prophecies concerns the end of the world and is as follows. In extreme persecution, the seat of the Holy Roman Church will be occupied by Peter the Roman, who will feed the sheep through many tribulations, at the term of which the city of 7 hills will be destroyed, and the formidable judge will judge his people. The end. Now, you can read that and you go, okay, there goes Rome, right? Hilton Sutton was my teacher and mentor where it came to biblical prophecy, and he was very gifted in this thing. And the thing that I was taught about prophecy is that when you see an unfolding of a prophecy, then you are witnessing something that, was manifesting where others may have waited and never saw it. And the reason behind that is that time is not specifically how we look at it. And so Does this mean that Rome will have a natural catastrophe? That would be the only way, right? Unless there was a sudden war. It has been noticed concerning Petrus Romanus, who, according to St. Malachi's list, is to be the last pope, that the prophecy does not say that no popes will intervene between him and his predecessor, designated Gloria Olivae. It merely says that he is to be the last, so that we may suppose as many popes as we please before Peter the Roman. Cornelius Lepidid refers to this prophecy in his commentary on the Gospel of St. John on the Apocalypse. So the thing is, the Apocalypse has been, that's been the driver, and this is just my opinion, for contaminating the world. I'll come back to this in a second. So let's just stop that. Ta-da.
All right, let's just stop it there. Whoops. Oh.
Oops. Wrong one.
What's going on? There we are. Okay, clicking on the wrong guy. Yeah, so did you catch that?
Yes. Yes, I did.
You know, this is very kind of, it's you know, it makes you question, makes you wonder, like, if he is the last pope, you know, according to this scripture here, alluding that, you know, something would be happening to Rome, that there wouldn't be another, you know, and, you know, being with what's going on in the world right now, it's, you know, not too far-fetched, is it?
Well, you know, everything is, I'm going to throw a wild card out there to you. And, you know, Rome right now is Rome. You know, we're looking at it as a word, right? But what are they really talking about in being Rome? That's what I think we should be questioning ourselves. Is the new Rome is what country? Like the new Babylon. I'm giving you some hints here. You're supposed to catch on. What is the new Babylon? The new country, the new Rome.
Oh, I see. You're thinking
because Rome itself, if Rome itself right now was destroyed, wouldn't make a difference, because Rome is not a very powerful country. There's not many people there. It could get destroyed tomorrow. Everybody would shrug their shoulders and go, guess I'm not going vacation there.
Well, no, that's true. But, you know, see, the Vatican would be destroyed, and which is, I do believe, holds probably a lot of our history down in that basement. It would be a tragic loss if we lost.
It would, but the world wouldn't end over that. Yeah, people would cry, and, you know, who knows if it, you know, it's going to get destroyed under the ground, you know, where all this stuff is hidden. You know, who knows if they're moving it right now. But the point is that when they're talking about Rome, I'm thinking they're talking about the country that represents Rome in this time and age.
Oh, I see.
That's
even more concerning then, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now it's getting a little close to home, you know.
Well, what was the symbol, you know, of the Roman Empire? What did they use?
I don't even remember. I don't have no idea. You let us know.
It's a bird.
Okay.
The eagle. What does the United States have? An eagle. Right. You know, just like Germany, I think at one point in time was supposed to be the new Rome, but then that got because their symbol was the eagle, and now the eagle has moved over to the United States.
Yes.
Whereas, you know, and so forth and so on, and that's kind of how I track it. Now, I may be wrong, but I'm saying is that I think when they talk about these things like this, you have to look for a deeper meaning, because this is the future, and we're we're seeing it topographically, like, oh, I know where Rome is, I can point it out on the map.
Mm-hmm.
But Rome isn't very influential in, it's just a church, but the church is everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's like the Hydra. You could cut off the head, but it's got 10 more somewhere else. And I think when you're talking about Rome, this is the new Rome.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
And
well, that makes
trying to
it even more
expand.
scary. Yeah, that makes it even more scary.
Expand the empire. Who's trying to expand their empire? Who's ruling the world? And then it starts really fitting together. Maybe that's why Vance was there.
I was just getting chills. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So that might explain something. He handed over something to him, maybe, eh?
Well,
if he knows he's the last one, I don't know. Yeah, no, that's, these are some questions, right? That, especially with everything that's happening, in the world right now, it's just so unstable. I mean,
No,
so
I totally agree with you, because, like I said, you have to look at the bigger picture, because it doesn't seem like, ain't like the Roman Empire is going to come back, and the streets are going to be, the Colosseum. It's all ancient history over there. They got nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right. Now, talking about, prophecy or not prophecy, I guess, but predictions, I guess is more the word here. Like you mentioned, The Simpsons have another prediction about coming up on Wednesday here, April 30th. Now, according to the astrologies that I'm watching and whatever, most of them are saying that May is going to be fairly calm, astrologically speaking. So, we have a little bit of a breather, I believe, right now, the next month. But June, July, astrologers are all up in arms. Cliff High is all up in arms. So something is going to be happening, probably on a global scale, in June, July. What it is, I don't know. Obviously, we don't know. But so that could go with that. So be prepared. And this is why I've been stressing this for years. I know you guys don't want to hear it, but be prepared for everything. We just don't know what's coming. And that prediction, by the way, that we're talking about Simpsons, they're talking about lights out, right? We're going back to the Stone Age. There's not going to be any more power, that kind of thing, because it's sort of a soft kill, I guess, is what it is. If they want to take out the next Rome, all you have to do is shut off the lights, and we'll take care of the rest. A couple of years, no more people, barely anybody left, so. So be prepared for that. What are you going to do if the lights do go out at some point here for whatever reason? And that could be natural disasters as well as man-made things, so just be prepared for the worst and hope for the best, I guess, right? That's all we can do.
I do believe that things are going to slow down a bit, because what was it? I got a friend that called me today, and his friend who lives over in Seattle has said that the cargo ships aren't coming in. He says, we got one scheduled for this month, the end of this month, and then one for next month, and that's it.
I know.
So where are all the product?
Well, have you not seen the news? We are in conflict with China. China is no longer bringing the stuff over, guys. Okay, so, and this is another thing I've been trying to tell you guys. If you want to get the cheap stuff from China, things that you can't live without, you better go and stock up now, because that dollar store is going to be gone soon. Supply chains are going to be, dwindling down to almost nothing. It's going to take us a while before we get production up here in our own countries. It's not that we can't do it, and we will do it eventually. It's just going to take us a while now then to all of a sudden have to build up factories and blah, blah, blah. And this is probably where the whole robot thing is going to come in. It's going to be a lot easier just to sort of merge them into producing all this stuff now then that we were getting from China. So, and now this also includes, you got to remember, like computer chips. I know Taiwan does a whole slew of all that stuff, a lot of it. So all your electronics, getting parts, car parts, things like that as well. If you know what I mean? If they're coming from there, what's in the store? That's it. It's going to be gone. So, as a prepper mindset, you want to be prepared for that. So if you want your car running for the next few years, you better go and get some parts for it so that you can fix it up and make sure that it is running. You know what I mean? So yeah, there's going to be some big changes coming. I know my son actually works at the port here. I gotta ask him to see if he's noticed any, because his job will be affected. If there's no containers coming into shore, guess what? I don't have a job. He'll be out of a job, right? This is going to affect all of us, at some point on the different levels. But yeah, it's close to home, that's for sure. So interesting times coming, guys. But yeah,
well, they just announced today that the Chinese weren't going to sell rare earth anything, any electronics or something to the U.S. military with rare earth minerals in them, magnet stuff, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that's going to affect a lot of things because most every electronic we have has magnets, rare earth minerals in there, from your cell phones to, pretty much all electronics. There you go. You just crippled. You crippled
the world. That's the thing.
Everything, because you take that away and you're done. It's like you said about the car parts.
In the beginning of the year, when we did some shows on the front cover of the economy news, what is it? Not newsletter, I was going to say, but magazine. You can see China in the beginning of the year, sort of in March, April area. The China leader there, I can't remember his name now, but is in there. So I knew there's going to be issues with China. They're telling you right here, right? So it's not like they're not warning you ahead of time. It's not like they're not giving you a lot of time to prepare. You know what I mean? And if there's conflict with China, like I said, if they cut us off, we are hooped over here. We've outsourced everything to them, so they have us by the short and curlies. And so, there's going to be some tough times, a couple of years of having to go without. So that's what you need to be prepared for. So, what you need now while the stores are still open, while there's still stuff on the shelves, get it now. Get your flashlights, get all the things that you're going to need for any situation, really. Yeah. Robert's got 10 times. I just went and did some spring cleaning here myself and went through actually my flashlights, battery, make sure the battery's working, which stuff like that you should be doing every few months or whatever. Anyways, right? Make sure it's right where you need it, so that you don't get surprised when something happens, and just be prepared.
Be prepared. Anyway, back to the Pope thing. Now I noticed I was reading about something where they got so many pictures up for each Pope, but after Pope Francis passes away, there's only one more picture left, one more holder. So what happens then?
Right. Well, these are questions, right? I mean, it's what's going on, right?
It does add up. There was some guy that was talking I listened to today, and he was saying about how they said he predicted when the popes all die and when the end would come, and then that was 1,000 years plus Jesus's age, and then that ends up to be 26 or 27. So that's just enough time to allow the new pope to be elected, and then bring the end. Because as well as I do, they're going to continue on and elect another pope. It ain't gonna stop them. They'll have a new pope elected in a month or two.
Right? Unless something happens where it doesn't happen. Yeah. And so this is, where time will tell. Because like you said, with the prophecy there with Malachi or whatever, it looks like this guy is the last one. So
and
well, who knows?
And he wasn't actually supposed to. See, this is the thing. We got to go back. Let's go back in time a little bit. Okay. Now remember, the Pope before him was who?
I've
Who
already
was the Pope
forgotten. I have
before?
no idea. I can't remember.
It was that German guy. And I
A
can't
German
remember his
guy.
last.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
his thing started with an
Oh,
H. I
it's
can't
just a
remember.
Pope for me. I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
I
I have
can't
to
remember
Google
his
it.
name. If anybody in chat knows the name of the previous Pope, put it in there.
Benedict. That was it. Pope
Benedict.
Benedict. Thank you, Lucky. Lucky. He was
All
already
right.
Googling it before. I know. He was like, anyway, thank you, Lucky. Anyway, or he maybe remembered. He's smart with that stuff.
Yeah.
Benedict. Okay. Now, this is what I know about Benedict. Benedict, remember, he didn't die off like all the other popes normally do.
Yeah, he resigned, right?
He resigned,
Fine, that's
exactly.
weird. Yeah, that is
So
weird.
this pope was a Jesuit. He wasn't supposed to be a pope. Okay, so
Yeah.
now that makes you ask.
Jesuits.
That's right. He was a Jesuit. He was not. Jesuits are the police of the Catholic Church. They're the guys that go out and do stuff. They're not supposed to be the Pope. But somehow they got him in there. Remember the lightning strike that struck the bird out of the air and the whole 9 yards when he was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how easy we forget about this stuff.
I know.
The point is does this Pope actually count? That's the question I'm asking you.
That might be a loophole as to why maybe we can have one more. I don't know.
And that's what I'm thinking, is because the last this Pope, St. Francis, yes, all that stuff Wayne was saying is true, and his name matches up, but that just gives you the opportunity to have the last Pope, which this next guy being elected. Now, if this guy getting elected comes up with Peter, flat out in your face, Peter, and not none of this riddle stuff with, this means Peter, and
Francesco
his name
means
was,
this,
and then,
yeah, I know. That's the thing about
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like playing that game, what do you call it? What was it? Bacon. Who's the guy? The actor, Kevin Bacon. 6 places removed from Kevin Bacon. Wasn't that show or whatever, that game where 6 places removed, from Kevin Bacon, but that's the thing. It's like, oh well, you could be related to the King of France. Well, look at Nina. Your parents were related to this people, and you had 16 cousins, and they were related to. And you know what? You're related to the King of France. How about that? 6 generations removed. That's what I'm trying to say. If you really get down to it,
right?
If you keep track of it, your family tree can go back so far. But that. So now, if this new Pope is elected and he takes the name Peter, I'll be a little more, oh boy,
then I'll definitely do another show for sure. Now, I don't know about him being the Antichrist, because as far as we know, the Antichrist is somebody that's coming from the Middle East, and he's got to be a nobody. According to the iPad Go 3, video. I mean, again, you have to look at what they're putting out there. They're telling you right there what the plan is. We got to pay attention to it. And according to that, and I got videos up about that.
Oh my gosh, it just hit me. It just hit me.
Okay.
It just hit me.
What?
Remember here about 4 or 5 years ago, they were talking about, I don't know if you remember that, combining Christianity and Islam. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. If you take it that direction, now that this Pope is passed and the next Pope is elected, being from the East, to bring the 2 religions together, bingo. There you go.
Well, okay, so I get where you're going there, but if we're going to go with the iPad Go 3 movie, right, Christianity actually will be deceived at the end and destroyed. Christianity in the Western world is not going to be part of the future. It's actually the Jews and the Muslims that are emerging, not the Muslims.
You told me that yourself yesterday. You told me that yesterday.
What's
you
that?
said in Europe. Did you not tell me yesterday?
That's what I'm saying. Muslims are taking over. That's part of the plan. Muslims and Jews are going to be taken over, and this is what they've done with the Muslim mosques. Muslims have just gone in there, infiltrated Europe. There's more probably Muslims over there right now than there is Christians, and a lot of, I know for myself, my friends or whatever, nobody's getting married anymore. Nobody's going to the church. The churches were just sitting there empty. So the Muslims came in, took over all the churches. They're all turned into mosques now. You have a hard pressed finding a local little church anymore. So this is the plan. They come in just like we have here with all the immigrants, all these Muslims and all these people coming in, right, and taking over. So they're already here now. So when the big call comes, you don't have to wait for anybody coming. They're already here. Okay. So
so literally, I don't want to say they're destroying Christianity, but the thing is just like Christianity, they're coming in silently. They're taking over. I mean, because this is how they did it with the Native Americans. I can see it. They would send in the one Jesuit priest, and they would say, here's the good book. I got the book. I got the good book. The word of God is in here, and then the Indians would get scared, and then you got to do away with your religion, and some of them would, and some of them wouldn't, and the ones who didn't, they kind of got a little bit exiled, and a lot of them did. They converted over, and to this day, most of them are converted over and are very much into the religion versus not into the religion, and literally destroyed him from within. Which is the same thing they're doing. They're coming in, they're taking the churches, they're putting the mosque up. The Christians that are around have nowhere to go. So eventually they're going to convert over to being a Muslim. Because,
they're going to have to. Yeah, so it's going to be, according to the movie, the Jews and the Muslims. And so this is why I believe that the Al-Aqsa mosques by the temple there is not going to be destroyed. I think they're going to keep that there because, they're going to merge. They just build the other temple just beside it so that you have both there because they're going to merge. Yeah. And according to the thing, the Antichrist that's coming is from the Middle East. He's going to be a guy that's not from any known family. He's not going to be known at all, not some rich dude or whatever, but I'm not exactly sure how he's going to persuade everybody. I don't know. It's going to be very charismatic. Obviously, I wouldn't be surprised if he has some talents, he can do some miracles or something rather. There's going to be a reason why everybody's paying attention to him. You know what I mean? Especially if he doesn't come from a prominent family and money and all this kind of stuff. So, but what he's going to do, what's going to happen is, and I've said this in several shows now, what I predict, and they're pretty much telling you in the movie. So it's not like I'm being a psychic here. It's just look for yourself. What they're going to do is this guy is going to, or not just this guy, but they're going to all of a sudden find the Ark of the Covenant, the original, okay, not the one that Trump had in his house or whatever it was, the replicas, but the Ark of the Covenant, okay? And inside of there is going to be a tablet. And on that tablet, the truth is going to be there, as far as the truth, okay, about Christianity. So they're going to debunk Christianity. They're going to debunk all these other religions. The only religion that's going to, be on there is going to be the Jewish and the Muslim somehow. I don't know how they're going to do it all, but it's going to make sense to us. That's going to be like proof for us that, oh yes, it is. Maybe Muhammad is because Muhammad is the Muslim, right? And then the Jews are still waiting for their Messiah. So maybe they're just going to say, okay, well, let's make it Muhammad. Muhammad's the guy. That's the guy that we're waiting. And maybe this guy is named Muhammad. Who knows? You know what I mean? That's Muhammad coming back. There's the tablet. There, it's written literally in stone.
Well, no, it's okay. Muhammad isn't coming back. It's the Magi that's coming out of the well. The guy that's coming out of the well. There's the one group believes in the guy coming out of the well. The other guy says, the group says that they have come out of the well already.
Okay, well, maybe there's a Muhammad coming out of the well. I don't know. But this, whatever it says on that tablet, it's going to make sense to all of us. We're all going to be like, oh my gosh, never thought of that. Oh my gosh. You know what I mean? It's going to be something spectacular. And it's going to then convince the whole world to merge. So, so no more Christianity, no more Hindu, no more any of that. It's just going to be
Islam.
the Jew. And there's not going to be Chrislam then, so that so that's a little bit wrong. But they're going to call it something rather, and the flag is going to be black, right? It's going to be the Star of David in white, and the flag is black, right? And this is another. So pay attention to what are they doing out there right now. Everything is turning into black. Black logos, we got X, everything is dark MAGA, black, dark, whatever. They're gearing us up for this new black flag. That's going to be the one world flag. It's not going to be several flags anymore. It's just going to be this one black flag with the Star of David and the little Muslim symbol on there. That's it. That's the future. That's what their plan is. Now, whether or not that plan is actually going to come to fruition, well, time will tell, and so this is this is why I'm doing shows on this, to bring it to your awareness so that at least and you have a chance to do something about it if you want to. You know what I mean? You can't go on saying, oh, I didn't have no idea that any of the, no, well, you do now if you're watching my shows. You know what I mean? So it's just something to ponder on. I don't want to scare anybody or whatever, it's just something to ponder, something to go and do your own research,
Yes,
so,
do your own research.
Well, and I have that video, by the way, the iPet, before you keep going on, I do have that video, the iPet Goat 3, in my YouTube, okay, under videos. You'll see it's like a 9-minute or whatever it is. I have it uploaded to my channel, so you can watch it there if you'd like, and give us some feedback, leave us some comments on it. Sorry, what were you saying?
Oh, I was going to say, the whole point is the informed person makes better decisions than the uninformed person. I always make the point of, if you didn't know anything, and they come around, with the bus, and they say, come on, get in, and we'll take you to safety and shelter. We got hot food and a shower, and, life will be really good. Are you going to get on the
FEMA camp, everybody? FEMA camp's the place to be.
We're going to take care of you. Do you go, or do you say, I heard about this somewhere? That's like the tempting. I see my neighbors out there waving to me, going, "Yeah, come on in, come on, join us now." And we're going. It's fun. Look at they're playing music, and we're going to get a hot shower and some food. And are you going to be tempted? Are you going to run out there and come on? I'll get on.
Anyways, I want to move on from this story because we have another story that we want to get into as well. And I don't want to take up your whole Sunday night. I know you guys are busy, and I want to, respect your time here. But before we get to the next story, which is going to be the women in space, so we're going to look at that. And, but before we get there, let's do a little mid-roll here. And, I don't have any sponsors, obviously, on this channel. I don't have monetization. It's just me here keeping the lights on. And one of the ways that you can support the channel is to go into the merch store. We have Milky Way Soul Tribe merch in all kinds of things that you can think of that you could need if you would like to get some Roberts stuff there. And then, of course, I got the We Do Not Consent, which I do find fitting for this show. That's the thing. We do not consent to any of this stuff that they're doing or what they're planning. Like tomorrow actually is an election here in Canada, believe it or not.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a big day.
I know. They're already pushed it, and that's the thing. So no matter who comes in, so I'm not going to vote. Okay, I don't go and vote. And because if you do, then you are giving consent to whatever it is that whoever gets voted in is going to be doing. You're giving consent by voting. So I'm not going to vote, okay? However, if you would like to be a little bit less radical than that, get yourself some merch, and you're telling the world that we do not consent okay, to any of this stuff here. Now, for those of you who are a little bit more on the spiritual side, of course, the Anthahkarana is going to help you out. Now, I have, you know, all kinds of logos, all kinds of merch. There should be something for everyone, I would think, in here. Young and old, spiritual and conspiracy theories, you know what I mean? So go and check out the merch store, okay? It's a great way to support the channel and get yourself a one-of-a-kind item. So there's that one there. And of course, donations is where it's at. And I have to admit, the live streaming bill is due on Thursday. So, you know, if you guys are able to donate it all, this will be a great time to do it. It's much appreciated and much needed at this time. So use the donation button. It is pinned in the chat, or you can go into the description of the video and find links for ways to support the show, okay? To keep the lights on around here. But without further ado, let's get into the next thing I have here. Now, I just picked one of these. There's so many of these videos. They were filming this live, so they couldn't go back and try to redo it. It already went viral. It's live. So, you know, so everybody saw it. Now, we're going to watch this. I'm sure you've already seen it, but I want to critique it a little bit here. Let's see if I can get
her mouth, but really her heart.
And is that Jeff Bezos out there right by the capsule? Kind of.
Okay, so first of all, y'all saw the door open, right?
Yep.
Yeah, door opening, that wasn't supposed to happen, right? And, you know, can you imagine? Like, this is supposed to be something that came from space, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't supposed to happen.
Hard to see.
That is.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Here goes Jeff Bezos to open the hatch.
Did you see how flimsy that door is?
Yeah.
First of all, it apparently, because I did some research on these doors, okay, just even a regular airplane, okay, it's not supposed to go inward. It goes out. The door goes out, and it's a huge thing. You gotta remember that it's vacuum sealed. This door is huge. It's not a flimsy little 2-inch thing or whatever he's got going on here. Like, this is just so ridiculous. I don't know.
Yep.
Let's continue here. It's not very long.
You didn't really close it.
Look at that thing.
Come on, guys.
Oh, you can't tell now.
Yeah.
Oh, but you can look at here. What is that? 2 inches? 3 inches, maybe?
Yep.
Of a door
Yep.
that's bouncing? Can you know how heavy those doors are and how well sealed these things are?
Yep.
You know, so it's like, is this a joke? Right? I mean, do they actually expect us to believe that this is real? Like,
Yeah.
you know
They
what I mean?
do.
It makes me like, what kind of bizarre world are we living in? You know? And then they're complaining about, oh, you know, we're using so much carbon and carbon. How much did this cost? It was over 7 million, I know, in dollars, but as far as carbon print, and why? It's so unnecessary, and it's like this whole thing. I just I can't even watch it. The rest of it there. It's like that, and I'm sure you guys have seen it.
Did you see? I got the one with the Katy Perry. I think Jeff Bezos. I heard he was suing her over this video.
I heard this too, but you know what? I go on Google it, can't find a thing about it. So if that's the case, it's not out in the public for us to find.
Is it a fake video? Then?
Is it a what?
Is it a fake video? I don't know. I mean, you know, here
No,
this
was live, you know, and the thing came down, and you look at the capsule, right? You look at this thing that came down. It's imperfect.
I got the other video of, oh shoot, hang on a second, I forgot to hit the button.
No, it was coming in here. But anyways, just look at the shape of the thing.
There.
Like,
okay.
Shape, you know. Usually when these capsules come, you know, they have like burnt marks on them. They're going through all kinds of radiation. you know, you're going to look like you've, you know, gone through space. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So now there's.
Oh, shoot.
What?
Okay, I'm going to mute myself.
Okay, here we go. Let's see what she has to
Perry,
say.
this space trip with a few other women almost exposed the truth. It's all Jeff Bezos' bad acting that raised suspicions. He tripped before opening the hatch, maybe, too excited. When we went to open the door at the scheduled time, he wasn't even at the hatch yet. So, we quickly closed it again and let Jeff pretend to open it from the outside. Also, everyone's asking why we didn't wear helmets.
Yeah, that's a good question. You're going into space. You didn't have a helmet. They didn't have space. They got these flimsy space suits.
Oh, can you? We're gonna. I can't do this. It's.
What?
I have to take the video down. I can't talk at the same time.
Oh, okay. Take it down.
Just show the video. And then we'll take it down and talk about it.
Okay. Okay. Ready?
Or traditional spacesuits, but instead wore tight, low-cut outfits and high heels. Come on, we're celebrities. How could we ditch our makeup and high heels on camera? It's part of being a celebrity. We even wore big jewelry into the cabin. Normally, jewelry isn't allowed in space, but we got special permission because Lauren Sanchez needed to show off her 20-carat engagement ring from Jeff to prove how strong their love is. So we all wear jewelry too. And in zero gravity, our hair should have been floating, but it wasn't. The truth is, we were just in a movie studio pretending to be in zero gravity for the camera. Also, did you notice Jeff Bezos touched the capsule with his bare hand, proving it wasn't hot? But when the capsule re-enters the atmosphere, it usually gets super hot and leaves burn marks. And when it landed, the huge impact didn't even affect the nearby bushes. We didn't rehearse beforehand, so there were a lot of slip-ups. Do you think our little show seemed realistic enough?
There you go.
Hey,
Here, I'll get rid of this.
Get rid of this.
Okay. There you go.
So,
anyway, what do you think? Wearing jewelry, no helmets, flimsy spacesuits, crappy door. The thing, I mean, they pointed out a lot of things, and I'm thinking, you know, they're right. You know, all it was a big show.
Was a big show. I don't know exactly why this was done. I don't know. And then not done well. Like, if you're gonna be faking something, at least do it more realistic. Like, you know, I mean, yeah, everything about it, it's a disgrace. You know, like, I'm pissed off that they think that we're that dumb that we're gonna fall for this. You know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave us some comments.
There's just too many things that went wrong there. You know, I could understand, okay, they wore jewelry, you know, one slip up. You know, I could understand that there was, you know, maybe they had the funny space suits on or whatever. But you start adding A, B, C, you know, and then the spacecraft itself just lands, and they're all like walking up to it like there's nothing wrong, you know, like, hey, and then the door just opens up, like you said, and it's kind of flimsy looking. I'm thinking, you went all the way up in the space with a flimsy little door like that, you know, should be a little bit tighter there. You know, should be a little more heavy duty than just like cardboard. It looked like cardboard or,
well, it was bouncing there. Like, a door that heavy, you know, it should be, doesn't bounce back and forth like that. I'm sorry, you know, and it didn't even go the right way either. It's a joke, you know, and that they spent that kind of money, you know, wasting our time, wasting our money. Never mind the carbon thing, you know, you don't want to know how much carbon that took, you know. Yeah, it's like, or is this just a distraction so that we're sitting here talking about it? So obviously it's working. You know, they made it so bad that we are talking about it. Yeah, you know,
I think Lucky I think Lucky's seen something that none of us has really been paying attention to. You see what he says?
Which one? Says, this one?
The slip-ups are all part of the show. We're so focused on these mistakes, we miss the real thing they're hiding.
Well, some people are saying that this was some kind of ritual. There's some other meaning behind it.
Here's the thing. If they didn't send, okay, let's put on our thinking caps. Come on, let's put on our thinking caps.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Here's the thing. If they didn't go to space, then what did? And they obviously sent a rocket. But then who was in the rocket? Or what was in the rocket? That's the other question. What or who was in the rocket?
Released something into the atmosphere, being up that high?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is we're so focused on this rocket, we're watching the TV, we're watching everything, we're watching it come down, and we're going, well, they never went because look at they didn't have spacesuits, they wore jewelry, they wore the capsule wasn't hot. In the end there, the last bit, she says, oh, it didn't even make the ground or the bushes around it or anything disturbed. And then it says, well, they didn't go. But we did see the rocket lift off. So then who or what was in the rocket? Now I'm going to put the next thing out there is, if this was the thing, wouldn't this be the perfect opportunity to send a secret satellite up into space with nobody knowing? Wouldn't this be the perfect time to send something up there, or the aliens or whatever, or maybe military stuff? Because nobody launches a rocket without the military's approval or NASA's approval. You can't just launch a rocket into space.
Of course, yeah. There's going to be some serious permissions to do that kind of stuff.
But
these guys have a lot of money.
I'm going with it. We had our eyes on the rocket, and then there was a switch of hand, and then we see them come down, and then we're all focused on it, and we could see it was pretty fake. Well, we forgot to keep looking at the rocket. You got any thoughts on that?
I don't know what they could have possibly done. I don't know, but yeah.
Well, I don't know either, but that seems more I mean, like I said, when Lucky says that, I think that's the thing. We're so focused on all these little mistakes, we forgot all about the rocket. We've seen the rocket go up, and then we forgot we just seen the capsule, and then here's the women. Oh boy, the women, and we're still focusing on the women and all these mistakes. Forgot all about the rocket, didn't you? They're magicians.
So the rocket went up like that. First of all, the rocket looked like a phallus. I mean, come on, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of funny too. A lot of people, a lot of the videos that you see out there, they're talking like, this is some kind of ritual or something. Who knows?
Okay.
They may have, I don't know.
Okay, now I'm going to go back in time a little bit about two. We're going to go back in time about
hang on one second. I'm just going to answer Sunset's question here. Who has all the money? That's the Jays. Jays are behind everything. That's right. Who are behind Bezos?
Well, Bezos has got billion. He's a billionaire,
Yeah, they got billions.
That's $7 million to send that up. $7 billion. He don't care. He's close to the $1 trillion mark. He could spend more money. He could send a rocket every day and never worry about it. Here's a good question for you. Now, about 2 weeks ago, when this rocket and the Pope and everybody was, all this stuff was going on, did they or didn't they come out with the U.S. can control space and time? Was that not the statement?
That's going to be a topic for next week, Robert. We're going to do a show on time travel again.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, I get that.
Oh, yeah.
I get that part, but it was at the same time as all of this happened.
Okay.
What if this rocket was the part that they needed to finish the space and time thing? You get what
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
You know, it's just too like you said, it's too coincidental. Too coincidental. All of this happened at the same time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know,
that
why
could
would they
be.
come out and announce that then? You know, why would the women, the rocket be launched? Why would the Pope die at the same time? Why would Vance, you know, all of these things happen almost within a few days of each other.
Within the same week or something. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
That's why I'm doing a show on. I'm like, what? This is so much going on. I can't keep up. You know?
And like I said, that space and time thing was announced right about the same time. And now my brain is starting to think, well, maybe the rocket, you know, maybe that thing on top of it was actually a satellite or some kind of instrument tech that we don't even know about. And there's the secret Space Force up there putting it together. And this was the perfect cover to do it while, you know, in front of everybody, because the Chinese, you don't think the Chinese or the Russians are watching us? Every time we launch a rocket, you know as well as I do, they're watching every single rocket. But now we got a rocket that goes up. Oh, it's just a bunch of women. Don't worry about it. It's just the women, right?
Yeah.
There you go. I've answered the question.
You should have just shot the Pope up there in his last little trip.
Yeah.
He's going that way anyways, isn't he? So, you know. Yeah, I don't know. You know, you got to pay attention to these guys because they keep doing things and it's in our face. But we miss certain things. Like you say, you know, look over here, a rocket. Well, they're doing something else over here. You see that you know, and maybe that time travel thing, it's you know what? It's like this, okay? When 9/11, okay? The day before 9/11, so on September 10th, was it Rumsfeld or whatever his name was? I can't remember the dude's name now. Who's in high in politics?
Rumsfeld.
Came onto the national TV and admitted that they misplaced how many trillions or money?
$2 trillion is missing.
A lot of freaking money. The next day, boom! Oh, everybody forgot about that. It's kind of like this with this. Oh, we announced that, you know, we know how to manipulate time and space and that. Oh, boom, hey, look at the rockets. Right? Now, all of a sudden, everybody's forgotten about the time travel thing. Not me, though. I'm going to be doing a show on that next week. So, so stay tuned next week, everybody. We're going to look into that. You know, and there's another caveat to that I'm not even going to mention. It'll be a little surprise that I'm going to add to this. And, it's interesting times that we're living in, I gotta say. Yeah. You know, I
agree. Yeah. I agree. But I do think all of this has something to, you know, it all fits together like a puzzle. You know, nothing is, you know, do you ever watch that show Fringe? You ever watch the show Fringe?
Sounds familiar. I probably have. I don't know.
And well, they're talking about it's a science kind of show, and you know, they're investigating things. But each one of these little, you know, things that are going on fits a bigger puzzle. You know, and little by little, they're putting together the puzzle and puzzle pieces, and it's like, why are they doing all this? Well, you know, there's a war coming, and we're like, how is this connected to a war? What kind of war is this? You know, and then they're just going on and on and on, and eventually they put all the pieces together, like, oh, you know, this is what it's all about. And that's the same thing we're doing here. There's these pieces and pieces and pieces, you know, and you know, we're putting it together. But
we're trying to. Now it's up to you guys, though, to also research, right? Don't just take our stuff, you know, as the truth. Go and research and then come back with some feedback, you know. And if you do have some, you know, comment down below, guys, or email us with stuff.
If you've got an idea why this is happening, you know, just because we said these things doesn't mean that we're spewing out total facts here. These are just our ideas. If you got a better, like Lucky said, you know, that spurred this idea in my head, and you know, maybe it's spurred somebody else's. Put it in the comments. Let us know. Put it in the chat here. I don't care where you put it. We'll read it. We'll find out. We'll do some research. Maybe it'll help the collective of us who are awake and you know, we will know the truth. We will be the people saying, not getting on that bus.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and if you have any ideas of shows, topics that you want us to touch on and do a show on, again, comment or email us, with stuff. Yeah, we welcome all of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
Does anybody have any questions? Put them in there now, because we're getting closer to the end here. Unless you have anything else you want to touch on there, Robert?
Well, that's the most I can think of is, like I said, now that's a sleight of hand. But like, and back to our thing there, yeah, we need more brains put together. I can talk to the wall all day, and Nina, I can talk to you, but if we just banter back with just same old ideas back and forth, we need you people out there to help us with the great ideas and the information, because it's a collective of all of us. You're part of it. You may not think so, but you are more important to this show, watching it right now and giving us information, than you'll ever understand, because you have dreams, you have ideas that will feed the machine right here. Right here.
Absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and you can always, most people do watch it on the replay, and that's totally fine. Use the comment section down below, guys. Now, before you leave, make sure you smash that like button, okay, and share this out. Get other people thinking as well. Let's, start thinking a little bit, and looking at all these things that are going on, because everything's happening so fast right now. It's hard to keep up. Like, it really is. It's overwhelming. And I've started writing things down now, so that when we get to the end of this year, because we're going to forget most of this stuff, and so we can go back and look at this year, because like I said last year, 25 is going to be a pivotal year. A lot of things are going to be happening here this year. So we gotta remember, so that we don't forget, because I've noticed too lately, I don't know if it's just me, but things are just leaving my mind. It's there and then it's gone. Like, literally, it's almost like somebody's just pulling it out. Yeah. Like this time travel thing, which is kind of funny, because like I was just saying, it's almost like they slammed that rocket thing just to cover up the fact that they said that. That way, karmically, they can say, hey, we told you. Karmically, it's not on us now, it's on you, right? But then to give us that other story, and it's weird, because I had this time travel thing on my mind. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do a show on. Next thing you know, I'm like, what am I doing the show? I totally forgot. Cannot remember until something else, like the next day or whatever. And it's been a few times now this week that I can't seem to remember about the time travel thing. So, and I don't know, it might just be me. I mean, it could be, right? But it just seems a little odd. It's a little more than usual. Yeah, I'm a little more forgetful than usual.
This is why I'm always writing stuff down. I got papers and papers stuff, because otherwise I got all this in my head, and it's like.
Well, usually though, I remember, like, especially when I've decided to do a show on something, that'll be on my mind, and this is what I'm going to be scheduling. And tomorrow is when I schedule my shows, but yeah, I like a couple 3 days here. Like, I'm like, what was I doing the show on? So today I finally came to me. I'm like, I have to write it down. So that I don't forget, because tomorrow I'll be scheduling a show. Yeah, it's weird. I don't know. Who knows? There might be reasons behind that as well. That these people know how to manipulate time, and if they know how to manipulate time and space and all this stuff, you don't think that they can, make it difficult for you to remember?
Oh, I keep thinking every time we talk about this time and space stuff, I think, have they been, just like anything else, you got to practice. And they've been manipulating time and space for so long that they've been changing little things just to see if it works, like the Mandela effect.
Mandela effect, I think, is what's going on here, you see. And these are, little testers to see who remembers what, who's on which timeline. Because I think, some of us might be on different timelines than other people. And I know for a fact that I switched timelines at some point.
Yeah, I think myself too, because some days I wake up and I think I should be doing something different, or I should have been something else, and something doesn't feel right. It's like, how did I get here? Or I feel like something is missing in my life. You know what I mean?
And you know what? I think a lot of people feel that, and that's why we feel that, I think. Because there's a lot of us on different timelines, and we were supposed to go a certain way there, and for some reason, I don't know why, it got changed. And so these are, answers to the Mandela thing. They're doing all kinds of weird stuff. Anyways, we'll get into that next week, everybody. So make sure you tune in. Make sure you subscribe, okay? And stay tuned. Wednesday, of course, we got Hump Day, and I'm going to talk a little bit about, Beltane and Val Perkins night. I know that was the Simpsons prediction on that day as well, so we'll have to stay tuned for that one there. I don't think that's going to happen. I sure hope not on that day, but because there hasn't been nobody's been talking about that day in astrology and any of the places where I go looking for things. Nobody's mentioned anything. So, but I did go and I went on to Google to see, because Snopes are pretty quick at debunking the Simpsons episodes. There wasn't a mention at all about this prediction. So either A, that's not a real Simpsons episode, or B, it is a real Simpsons episode. You know what I mean? Like it's one or the other there. But yeah, they haven't debunked it. So that's a little concerning as well. But hey, time will tell, you know what I mean? But yeah, we'll talk a little bit about Paul Perkins night and Beltane and whatever. We have a little message from Astara that we'll do on Wednesday. And so stay tuned for that. Now, what do you got coming up here, Robert?
The same old Tuesday, Native American myths and legends, as we talk about the Nez Perce. At least another episode again, as they travel across the country, escaping from the United States military, being chased through their homeland and trying to be free, their customs and cultures, and very interesting people. One of the last free Indian tribes that was out there. So you want to know a little bit more about the Nez Perce? Join us Tuesday night, me and David Null, as he tells a great story and pulls some good cards at the end of the night. So there you go.
There you go. All Robert's links are in the description. He's got 3 different video or channels that you can subscribe to, and all my links are down there as well. And if you do, like I said, if you have been thinking about maybe supporting over here, now is definitely a good time to do it. The bills are due. And so, yeah, any donation would be greatly appreciated, or go and visit my merch store. We'll see if there's something in there. We do have Mother's Day coming around the corner and all kinds of other dates coming up. So, support a small channel and give some unique gifts out. That's always nice as well. But anyways, thank you all for watching. Thank you for liking and sharing, and stay tuned, and we'll see you guys next time. We'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.